I think you're gonna I think you're gonna know what I'm gonna ask you because I've decided I'm gonna ask all of you it. Ready?
Yeah.
Dan with Dan, Dan with Jen, Dan with Dan, Dan with Dan, Dan with Jen.
Shane, welcome to 10 with Jen, where I ask 10 out of 10s like yourself 10 questions in around 10 minutes to get to know you in a fun way.
I'm
Yeah.
ready to hear what you got.
Okay, here we go. Shane, a bit about you. Shane Cultra is a seasoned entrepreneur, investor, bee whisperer, green thumb, running man, and digital asset expert. He founded dsad.com in 2009, a domain industry blog, and beehouse.com in 2019, where sustainable beekeeping and delightful honey shine. In addition to growing a premium domain name portfolio, Shane has achieved successful exits to Lionsgate Films and ABC, and more recently joined D3.Inc. to build the new internet. A proud father to Libby and Frank, and devoted husband to Stacey, Shane has completed marathons and Ironmans, traveled the world, and he may or may not love apes. How are you, Shane?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's hard to summarize a 55-year-old adventurer's life in a couple of minutes, but you did a pretty good job there.
Shane, are you ready for your 10 with Jen?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Cats or dogs?
I'm definitely a dog person now. Started off as a cat person. I moved by myself into Chicago and I was pretty lonely, and my brother showed up with a cat. And
Oh,
so my cat was with me for 19 years and met my
oh
wife
wow.
and my daughter. And that cat meant more than anything in the world to me. And when I lost him, I thought the world was over. And
Yeah.
then I got a dog and realized it's a cat that loves me more. So so now I'm
Yeah.
all dogs and
Oh, I love that. I love that. Since launching beehouse.com, what's the funniest experience you've had while working with bees or making honey?
one time I came out and there was this swarm of bees on a tree, and it was next to the hive, and I was like, I was nervous. Like everybody else would normally be nervous. You see this hive and you think, oh my gosh, there's gonna. But the beekeeper said, no, this is easy. You just get the bee, the queen out of that, and you can find them. She looks different. You put her in a hive, and all the bees follow. It's an amazing experience. But we did it. I got them in the hive, and I thought I was the best beekeeper ever. And then she told me 99 times out of 100, it's never this easy where you can reach it like at eye level. That normally they're at the top of a tree or they're in some crazy place. And that's how they go get them. So ever since then, I've been fascinated with watching these videos on TikTok or something where people go get bees in crazy places, like they'll call in the beekeeper
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'll open a roof and there'll be thousands of bees. But that was one of the craziest experiences, taking this giant swarm, and all you have to do is take one little, queen bee and put her in a box, and everybody follows. Like it's all about that queen bee. It was a really cool experience.
With your deep involvement in domains, blockchain, and building the new internet at D3.Inc., what excites you most about the future of Web3?
The reality is domains are the best asset. We have billions of dollars in assets that are kind of tied up, right? We can either buy them and sell them and maybe park them, and that's about it. I think it's exciting to think that maybe I can get a loan on a domain quickly from a peer or from a pool, or we can fractionalize it a lot easier. Escrow needs to be easier. Escrow's pretty tough right now. And also the commission rates in domains are too high. I mean, we're paying 30% on transactions that should be way more efficient. So I don't think blockchain solves all use cases, but I think blockchains can truly make domains more efficient on transactions and be an extra added value to domains to make domains even more powerful, more useful, and more tradable. I think a lot of people started with a blockchain and moved up to domains. And I think at D3, doing a good job about starting with domains and then adding utility, not coming the other direction. So ICANN still runs the roost, right? We still have to adhere to ICANN and do what they want to do. And we need some centralization because everybody wants to centralize until something goes wrong, and then they want to
Right.
cry to their mommy to fix it. So there needs to be a little bit of centralization in there. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I think it's a huge future. It's going to be a hard process. People don't like change. Um, and so, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be overnight, but I see a big future in it.
What is the most terrifying animal?
I'm not really scared of any animals in general, but I always, when I'm taking hikes, I constantly think about what would happen if a bear came. Like, I feel like I don't get to control that situation. Like I feel like of the rest of the animals, I'm pretty good. Like I'm not going to see a lion. I'm not going to come across any of those. But I think about a real life situation because I hike a lot, and so I've been told, black fight back, brown lay down, and white good night. So that means the polar bear is going to probably kill me. But I don't see polar bear, so we can scratch that one.
Yeah.
But then black comes into play. So that's where in the mountains where I'm at, black. And so I'm constantly thinking about what I would do if a black bear came out. Like, would I scream? Would I run? Like, it is in my mind all the time because we have bears in the neighborhood. And so I don't know that I'm scared of them, but it's probably they own a piece of my mind more than they should.
You have been happily married for 29 years. What would you say is your love language?
The feeling of someone in the room with you at all times, right? So as a married couple, you don't even speak sometimes, but you always know their presence. You can always feel them, and you always feel comfortable, and you always feel like you have a partner, whether it be protection or just love or whatever it is. You can always feel them in the room. That's just what it is. Like you can just, when you're around them, you're just a better person. And so I think that's agreeable on both sides. I think my wife would say the same thing, is it's just wonderful being around your partner.
What is the wackiest internet rabbit hole you've ever dived down?
It's not the wackiest, but it's a deep dive. I have gotten so deep into God dang Roman Empire. Like I know it's a thing about men, but I constantly for years have been watching Roman Empire because of the volcanic ash covered everything. Everything's been preserved. So now they're bringing it out, and we're getting to see a lot more than we've ever seen, from the painted walls to they had fast food, literally like you could order food cafeteria style. You put your money in the jar. Like that's 2,000 years ago.
Well, now I know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day.
Have you ever seen the TikTok videos where they ask their husband, they go, when's the last time you thought of the Roman Empire? And all the husbands were like, yesterday or Monday. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Having grown up surrounded by nature and plants at your family's nursery, what is your favorite flower and why?
It changes every year what I'm into, but I would say my favorite one is actually not a flower, but we sell it as an annual here. It's called coleus, and it's a leaf. So it's really just a foliage-based plant. And what I love about it is there's 2,000 different leaf patterns, different colors, every color in the rainbow. And it gets a flower, but that's not what it's grown for. It's grown for its foliage. And what I like about it is you don't have to wait on the flowers. The foliage is always beautiful. It's always pretty from the second you grow it all the way through.
As a dedicated runner who has completed over 30 marathons, what strategies do you lean into when you hit a wall during a race?
You're going to train like 6 or 9 months for an event, right? So you're doing all this work to participate in one activity. It could be a short race of 5 minutes. It could be a long race of 3-4 hours, a marathon. And some days aren't going to be your days, right? You're going to hit a wall. And a story that I love to tell, my best favorite marathon ever was my slowest marathon ever. I ran 4 hours and 30 minutes. I normally am near 3 hours. I broke 3 hours. And why is 4:30 my favorite? At mile 25, I was hot and I collapsed, and I just laid on the side of the road, and I was done. I was ready to go home. I had no drive in me at all, and I just wanted to lay there. And I did lay there for like 30, 40 minutes. And A policeman and paramedic were there, and they said, "Why don't you just finish?" And I thought, "What are these guys telling me to finish? Like, I'm exhausted. I'm done." And he said, "It's a mile, man. You came all the way to Boston. You came all the way here. You've run for 3 hours. You've got another mile. You want me to walk with you? I'll walk with you." So he did. The paramedic walked the last mile with me, held my arm, and walked me across the finish line. It was the hardest thing I'd done. It was something I didn't want to do. And I'm so grateful that I pushed through that wall and got up and finished. That's how life is. Sometimes you're going to run a business and it's going to go to hell. And sometimes you're going to take a job and you don't like it. And sometimes it's going to be awesome and you just don't know. So you just got to do it and see what happens.
You're stranded on an island with the Sherpas.
Yeah.
Who do you eat first?
If I'm stranded, of all the Sherpas, I got to eat JT because I just think he's the biggest, most amount of meat. Like, I think he would last the longest. Because I'd probably, yeah, I'd start with his legs. And then I don't have to worry about taking the hair off either because he'll already be cleaned. Yeah. I'm thinking of number of meals. I mean, I think I can get 60 days on JT, most likely. I think I'm going to end up eating all of them. So I'll just start with him.
I've always admired the beautiful bond that you share with your daughter, Libby. What is the most important lesson you've learned from being a dad?
I think the most important is you're not number one in this world. Like it's people that don't have children are not bad people, but they haven't been number 3 or 2 in the world. And once you have a kid, you're no longer number 1, and that's okay. Like, that person is more important. You would give your life for them. You'd give up your career for them. You give up anything for them, right? You want them to have and be all the things that you wanted to be or could be. So you put all your efforts. And, I think, I think that's the lesson is you're not number 1 and you need to put everything into that. And that's okay. Like, you can, when they succeed, you succeed. And I think that's something that, I really cherish. I have no problem with that role. It really taught me a good lesson is just let them be them and get out of the way and guide. So,
well, Shane, thank you so much for your time today. You've now been 10 with Jen.
All right. I already planned this. I have a sheet of who I'd eat in what order.